Hi, I am Master Ingvar Johannesson from Iceland, and this is novicechess.com. And again, I'm playing against a lower rated opponent in the novice category, blitz rating over 109 games, classical rating over 33 games. And we're going to try to see if we find some mistakes. Now, once again, I'm just going to try to get developed quite quickly. We see g6 by our opponent. And the theory here is d4 actually, but let's just stay out of theory. I see a lot of people make this move. It's not one that is recommended, but I want to see how our opponent reacts if we simply stick to some opening principles. We castle quickly and stay solid. Now, generally, I do not really recommend playing h3 to stop the bishop from coming to g4, and I'm not going to do that. And the reason is simply that it loses immediately to, if the bishop is here, I play bishop takes f7, king takes, and now that the king is on f7, I can play my knight to g5 with check, and then my queen will capture the bishop. It's a bit of a long line, but this is what we need to calculate. So okay, now that we got castled, we can get our other pieces out. Knights before bishops generally, and that's what we're going to do. Now we could play d4, but I'm going to stick with d3 in this case. So I need to get this bishop out, but sometimes there is no rush. Usually when we have gotten castled, maybe some things need to happen before we define the position of our bishop. It's probably fine on g5. Not as much on f4. But now that I'm no longer threatening to take on f7, as he can now take with the rook, I'm actually going to play some play a prophylactic move, not allowing him to put the bishop on the best square, g4. Okay, so far our opponent is playing quite solidly, and he seems to know this this dragon setup that he's playing. It's quite popular at many levels. Now we got this bishop here on the strong diagonal, and I want to keep it there, so I'm going to play a3. And this is to give the bishop a nice square here on a2 in case of either knight a5 or an attack with a6 and b5 hitting the bishop. Okay, now he plays e5. This does leave a hole here on d5. And it also blocks in the nice bishop that you fianchettoed on this diagonal. And now I actually like putting my bishop on g5. The reason for that is that in case of h6, now I might just take this knight because it's controlling this weak square, and taking on f6 would allow me to establish a piece on this square. Now let's see what he comes up with. Let's remove the arrows. He plays queen b6. He's threatening this pawn, but It's a rather shallow threat. And we're going to just play queen d2. The idea here is that we're stopping h6. He can't play his pawn to h6 now. We will capture it. And we're also setting a little trap here. If he takes on b2, we will play a rook over to b1 and trap the queen. And now here our opponent should have taken more time. We just saw a pawn being offered, and we should suspect our opponent of having something in mind when they leave their pawns hanging. So we check what's going on, and really he just had to calculate the one move. Queen takes b2. Okay, what happens if he attacks my queen? Wait a minute, my queen can't come back. But of course, also at the novice level, it happens that sometimes material is offered and you must simply take it. In this case, not so much. So now he takes the rook, and now we have won the queen for only a rook, and that's a winning advantage. So now we just need to either exchange pieces, which we're just going to do here, or improve our forces and bring them to better positions and perhaps closer to the king. Here I'm going to take on f6. And the important point, of course, is that if he had taken on c3, I would have recaptured with my bishop that was here on c3. And now I will put my knight on d5. This nice outpost that was created after the e5 square. Bishop to d8. I will now place my queen aggressively here on h6. He can't really kick it away so easily. And he plays bishop e6. This hangs the b7 pawn, which I will gladly accept. I have a feeling he will capture my knight. I will take back. But now we have some nice pressure here on the f7 pawn. And we could take, but I'm going to try to play h4, h5 and try to get a quick checkmate going. So let's see what he comes up with here. Bishop to f6, which is actually not a bad idea. Not bad at all. Let's see what he has in mind here. Rook b8. I can interpose this move if I want, and I will. Because if he takes here, there's queen takes with checkmate. And now the reason why I wanted to soften this g6 pawn was to utilize the pin here. And you see now that he can't recapture on g6, so I can take here with my queen. He goes to the corner, but now among other things we can start by taking this bishop with check, and black resigns. Let's have a quick look. We didn't really play according to theory, but at this level quite often it happens that you're not going to meet a lot of theory. So you're better off sticking with opening principles. And even though our opponent here, he did play a setup that is quite well known. G6 is the hyper accelerated dragon. And he did play all the normal dragon moves. D6, bishop G7, knight C6, knight F6, and castled. But the problem with only learning opening moves, note again that we just knight before a bishop and castle. Very solid. Again, yeah, the problem with learning such an opening by heart is, again, h3 to stop bishop g4. Let's see, knight c6. So now he played all the normal moves, and I play a3. But now he didn't really know what to do. I didn't ask for computer analysis, did I? Either way, it's here. Okay. Even better. So a3, nothing special, but e5. I don't like this move because, okay, it can be played in some cases, but in general, I do have this nice bishop on the diagonal. And note that once you move your pawn to e5, you can no longer just put it on e6, which would blunt the diagonal if you wanted to, if you needed to. But after e5 you can't. The pawns can't move backwards. So you've given white this strong diagonal, and you weakened this d5 square, where white has great control with the bishop, the knight, and the pawn. And after bishop g5, we're already undermining the sole defender of this d5 square. Note, black also has an outpost here on d4. But notice the difference. Once I move this knight away, I can move this pawn up to the square which the knight is on, and I can challenge this outpost. So it's not really an outpost as strong as ours, because it can be challenged by a piece of lesser value, the pawn. So we had basically normal theoretical moves, and after that we had a move I didn't like, and then a very superficial move, a little bit naive, superficial, just attacking a pawn for the sake of attacking it. But there's no real idea behind the move. I mean, if let's say, okay, I played queen d2, which I thought was a good move, a decent at least. But what if I just play rook b1? I protected the pawn, and now what is your queen doing on b6? It's vulnerable to the white knight jumping into d5 at some point, like taking on f6 and knight d5. You have to watch out for these ideas. So not a good square for the queen. And here he also should have thought about what he wanted to do. Actually, his disadvantage is almost non-existent, plus 0.2, not that much. But okay, that's chess. If you make normal opening moves, usually the position is around equal. But queen takes b2, yeah, we talked about it during the game, was a very bad decision. And yeah, after that, okay, there's nothing really to be done. Took on b1, rook takes, and okay, basically black can resign here, but if you're gonna fight, you should try to keep your pieces on. Knight d4, obviously exchange, which we accepted. If you had taken with the c pawn, I would not have taken on f6, because then black has a Zwischenzug, an in-between move. Although maybe I can save some stuff with queen g5, but nonetheless, I would have played knight d5, exchanged more pieces, and white is doing great. So instead he took with the e pawn. Now further exchanges. Knight d5, active queen, free pawn. So nothing special. We gradually build up our advantage. I played h4. The computer likes queen f4, putting pressure on f7, which really can't be defended. 3 attackers, but only 2 guys who can defend it. But okay, after h5, rook a b8, checkmate is now unavoidable. And I could have made it faster with bishop takes f7 actually. With the computer shows here, rook takes a b8, and then take everything and take on f8. This idea I missed, but I took on g6, which was also instructive, I think, using the pin. Maiden 4 and now maiden 3, and our opponent resigned. So I think the lesson here is, once again, don't put too much emphasis on the opening phase, because even though you learn some good opening moves, like black did here with the dragon, as soon as he didn't know what to do, he ran into trouble. So what should he have done? There are plenty of things he can do. He could have expanded with a6, b5, put the bishop on b7, just played normal, solid moves. Like I mentioned earlier, maybe you want to have your pawn on e6 to blunt the bishop. Just build your position up. Develop your pieces. And that's what you have to do. You just have to stick with the opening principle and hope that you can learn some patterns and ideas and plans to add to your game. But first you just need to avoid the early mistakes. So hope this was useful. I will see you in a future video here on novicechess.com. Bye bye.